You're inside the Press Box. Christian FM Sports presents Inside the Press Box, where we discuss all sports from our favorite high school team to college and pro. Here's your hosts, Paul Tipton and Gary Paris.
Well, hey, Vero Nation, we're back in the Press Box once again. Paul Tipton along with Gary Paris. Thanks for joining us. And man, is this the fun part of the season? We get to take a look at what's coming down the road for us. There's a lot for us to unpack here, so we're going to get right to it. But before we do that, Gary, last week we had John Santucci on for our first episode of the season. It was a great way to get things kicked off and talk about something that's been talked about for quite a while now, and it's a whole NIL coming to high school athletics. I thought he had some great insights. Man, it was really fascinating to hear what his perspective was on this whole deal.
Yeah, John's a plethora of information from
or a plethora.
A plethora, rather.
Yeah,
excuse me.
It could be a plethora, but yeah.
Yeah, that could be that too, yeah.
Whatever that word is.
Boy, it's already first part of the season. I butchered my first word.
Just wait, folks. It gets better from here.
It's better from here on out. Hey, listen, with the knowledge he has of the game, I was impressed with his ability to how he reports and gets things said and done.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we were talking about the NIL,
mm-hmm.
and John had mixed feelings on it. His good feelings is every kid's entitled to it. If like he made a good analogy of a young man going to Publix and gets a job, how proud are we of him?
Yeah.
So if a football player gets a opportunity to drive a certain car or advertise for a certain company, he should be then paid. Okay?
Yeah.
It's not paid to play in high school as we think it is. It is in college. In college, it's pay to play. I'm not sure high school yet how they're going to handle that, and it depends on what area of the country you live in or what part of the state you live in.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I take away from that conversation last week was this. I'm okay with, if there's opportunities for these young men or young athletes to have an opportunity to get paid somehow. Great. I'm all for it. I'm not sure that not having some type of accountability or governing body of sorts to help keep things accountable, not having that, I think, is ridiculous. And I think it's opening up a huge potential can of worms and problems down the road.
Well, in theory, the Florida High School Athletic Association is supposed to be able to control it. Now, there was a part of a bill that John thought got knocked out. I thought was part of their conversation. He was going to let us know that every deal had to go through, be passed on to the Florida High School Athletic Association. They had to approve it. Mm-hmm. Now, if that's false and it's not going to, that was the language eventually was in the original, and they took it out. But I was under the impression they may have put that back in. If you don't have that, you're 100% right. You're 100%. If they can't approve or look at every deal. And it's not like it's going to be thousands and thousands of deals coming to you.
No, I don't think so.
And I think that it's just a matter of getting the right verbiage down so that people understand it, so the kid understands it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's things that we talked about in there, like taxes. If he gets paid or gets, you got to pay. You got to declare that.
Correct.
You got to pay taxes on that. And I don't know that a lot of that's been explained. And I like what John said, that nobody has taken time to tell the kid that you have to, this is the benefit and these are the downfalls to what you may have to do.
Totally agree. It's going to be interesting to see how it unfolds. And, it's just the beginning. So I expect it to have a lot of problems. I expect it to be problematic. I don't expect it to be perfect coming out of the gate. Very much like the playoff system. It's like, trying to figure out what's the right method. Yeah, they keep experimenting. They keep trying different things. I thought they had it right the last couple of years. They changed it up. So we'll see when it comes to NIL. My guess is that don't be surprised over the next probably 3 to 4 years that they're going to have a lot of changes.
Paul, the thing that we talked about also was that most likely you'll see a bigger push for NIL in the bigger counties, the West Palm Beach County, the Broward County, the Dade County, already open enrollment, where you can go anywhere you want to as long as you pay for your own transportation,
Right.
has changed the game from unbelievable, where private schools had an advantage in the past.
Sure.
Now they don't.
They don't have that. And again, it will, and we could talk a lot about this, but I promise we're going to get to our schedule and whatnot here in just a second. But I really think that, they're going to have to like probably do a lot of trial and error because like you're saying, like with open enrollment, like, okay, what are the limitations potentially of NIL? Because like, okay, buying a house for somebody, is that going to be too much? You know what I'm saying? So they can live in a county where they want to go to school and then ultimately ride the bus or whatever they need to for transportation wise. You know, those are the kind of things that they're probably going to have to walk through first and like fail at it to figure out what's the best method for it.
I know in college right now, they're wishing they had some help.
Yeah, no kidding.
The wealthy teams are still getting the best. They're going to get the best players.
Of course they will.
And it's not a fair playing ground when you've got newer universities like UCF is a new university. Started football in 1979, and it was that's just a few years compared to like Florida or Florida State or Miami or Georgia, all these other schools that they have to go up against in recruiting. So I think there's a lot of question marks at all levels on NIL.
100%. And we'll see how it's going to unfold here over the next season or two. But speaking of seasons, our season with football here at Vero Beach High School is getting ready to start. And boy, oh boy, did Coach Jankowski put a schedule together, Gary. Man, this is going to be a rough road this year.
There are two stretches of 3 games apiece. There's 6 games that I put circles around, Paul, that concern me more than anything else. Not only do we open up with Palm Beach Garden, who was a playoff team in the preseason game, but then we got a Galley, who was preseason ranked. They were 10-2, who's preseason ranked 14th in the state of Florida. A Galley. We got a Galley. Buchholz, which is in the top 25 ranked team. Mm-hmm. And then you got Homestead, who is 25th, I think, in the state or whatever it may.
Correct.
And so you got 3 teams you play in the top 25 preseason poll. That's your opening of your season after your preseason game. Tell me that's not a schedule. That's when I saw that, I went, well, it can't get any worse than that. Then I looked down the schedule a little bit farther.
Be careful. Be careful.
Booker T. Washington.
Yeah.
Then you had Rockledge. Then you got Treasure Coast. Mm-hmm. There's another stretch of 3 games right there with teams that were highly ranked last year.
Yeah.
And then before then, you've got Heritage, who we played in the playoff game or in the playoff system. And then you got, again, Palm Bay at the end, who was in the playoff also last year. So it's a tough schedule. I don't care how you look at it. But those 6 games, I just mentioned you, the 3 in the beginning and the 3 toward the end, I circled every one of those and said, those are going to be outstanding games.
I agree. And, of course, you know, traditionally our district is a pretty competitive district. Now, the last couple of seasons, it seems like, you know, Centennial, Fort Pierce Central haven't been as strong as they have been in years past. Don't know what to expect from them this year. Traditionally, you expect Treasure Coast to be another strong team, and it could come down to, again, that game in late October or early November where it's Treasure Coast and Vero Beach looking for a district title and potential home game for the first round of the playoffs for sure. But yeah, Gary, I mean, you just look at this schedule, and, you know, you and I have had this conversation for the last 3 seasons for sure when Coach Jay starts putting some of these schedules together and you go, wow, that's a tough schedule. I don't know it could get any harder. And then the next year, oh, wow, that's a tough one. Man, you outdid yourself. This one definitely has outdone the last 2 seasons for sure. And yeah, starting with O'Galley on the regular season start. And of course, we got Palm Beach Gardens. We'll talk about the Gators in just a little bit. But yeah, you're starting with the 14th ranked state and the state team coming off a 10-2 season. They were their district champs. They lost in the second round of the playoffs. Now, last year they were part of the 3 Suburban League. Now they're 3A. So if you're interested in following the classifications and the realignment, they're now considered a 3A school. Now I can tell you as far as student population what that means. I just know that we're 7A, they're 3A. That's all I can tell you.
And don't go by the student population anymore because open enrollment
changes everything.
Yep. You've got a 2A school that can go out and bring in a whole bunch of kids if they want to come in here. If they're a good academic school, we've seen it in the past where private schools would offer scholarships to kids, financial scholarships to come and play. It's a different ball game now. So don't judge the size of the school.
Yeah. And by the way, that's a road game too, by the way, to start the season.
Yes. Hey, we have five.
We have five
road games
and
this year.
Start week 1. We start with on the road at O'Galley. Then we come back home for week 2 to play Buchholz. Now, Buchholz is they're ranked 27th in the state right now. They're a 6A school. They were in the 4S league with us last year. They lost in round 3, listen to this, to Lakeland by 1 point. Now, Lakeland was your state champ. They lost to them by 1 point. That's a strong team.
Yeah, they got a great coach there. And Mark Whittemore, he played at UCF. I remember broadcasting his games when he was a receiver. Now his son is at UCF as a receiver.
I got you.
So there's a lot of tradition.
Yeah.
And for I can't wait to. I'm not sure I'll look forward to playing Buchholz, but I look forward to seeing Mark.
So then we stay home for Homestead. They're 25th in the state right now. They're also a 6A school. Last year was part of the 3 Metro League. They were 12-2 a year ago. They lost in the 4th round, so they were in the semifinals. They were in the Final Four. They lost to St. Thomas Aquinas 31-28. Another strong team.
You look at it, and when I said those 3 games right there, first thing I did, before I even looked at the bottom, I went, whoa, Homestead. Whoa, Buchholz. Wow, O'Galley. Normally you think O'Galley, hey, I'm glad we're playing O'Galley. But when you go back and you read up on them, like, they were a great team last year, and they're expected to have another great team this year.
Yeah.
So you're like, whoa, okay, then we got Centennial, Heritage, Central, then all of a sudden Booker T stood right out there, and then Treasure Coast right there behind Rockledge game.
Right. Well, and again, so after the Homestead game, you said Centennial. That's going to be a road game, our first district game, and that'll be a Thursday night game, by the way, not a Friday night game. Then we have Heritage, another road game. So we got back-to-back road games. Heritage was a team we went on the road. We faced them in the first round of the playoffs, came away with a win, 28-17. But, Heritage, again, was in the 4S last year. They are going to be a 5A school now as far as classification. 9-2 a year ago. They're district champs, earned the right to have that first round home game, and they got to face Vero Beach, and like I said, lost 28-17. So you expect them to be strong again this year. And again, that's a road game for Vero Beach. So Vero's going to get tested not only early, but, with tough teams, but how they work on the road as opposed to being at home. Come back home for a district game against Fort Pierce Central. Central not having a great year last year with 2-8. And then again, another back-to-back home games. It's Booker T, ranked 39th in the state at 2A. 9-3 a year ago. They lost in the second round to Miami Central, which pretty much everybody loses to Miami Central, 35-12. So again, a traditional, strong powerhouse team, Gary.
They're just that whole area. You get a great head coach, you get somebody in there. Kids love to play for a program that's successful.
Yeah.
Why sit there if you've got a great talent and you've got a team that's going to go 5-5? Where you may not get as much exposure you would like to have, recognition to go on to the next level. So why not transfer to a school that you can get that exposure? You get that coaching staff. And Vero Beach gets some really good athletes coming out of St. Lucie County. But we don't have that power. I mean, they're not going to drive from Martin County generally up to play here. That's a little too far out of their reach.
Right.
But and Palm Beach. It's very seldom you get somebody wanting to come out of Palm Beach. Why would you leave Brevard County when you have Cocoa? Cocoa's probably one of the best teams in the state of Florida in the country.
Right.
So they get the good kids up, and we're lucky to have what we have, and that's why it's going to be hard for us, in my opinion, to eventually ever win a state championship, because you're competing against these. Now that you got back to when we were in the rural, or suburban rather, I thought we had a better chance, even though you may have to play Venice or Lakeland,
right?
But you knew you had a chance, then you could possibly get there.
Yeah, I don't totally disagree, other than the fact that, when you combine all those classifications that we had before, because they basically took what 8A, 7A, and 6A,
right, and
combined them all together to create the Suburban League. And there were some tough teams.
I thought our Suburban 4S where we were in was tough. I mean, when you have Venice and Lakeland,
right?
I mean, those are teams. But you, and again, not that they're going to do that every year, but it looks like because of open enrollment, they're going to be able to do that.
Right.
And so
now you throw some NIL in there and it might even be more. But
yeah.
So, all right. So we're at home against Booker T. Then we go on the road again to Rockledge. Now, it's been a while since we played Rockledge. And again, there is a theme this year in our schedule, going to Brevard County a lot this year. So we're on the road to Rockledge. They're ranked 88th in the state. They're a 4A school. They were 6-6 last year, but they were in the playoffs. They were runner-up in their district. Lost in the first round to Mainland, which, a lot of teams lose to Mainland, but it was a competitive game, 22-14. So you expect another tough team there from Rockledge. Then we come home for our final district game of the season against Treasure Coast. And yes, always a tough team. They're ranked 83rd in the state. They were 9-3 a year ago. They were the district champs, and they lost in the second round to DeLand 37-6. Expect Coach Jones to have another strong team. He brings that single wing to you. It's going to be a tough dogfight in that ball game. Then we finish up the season on the road once again, going to Brevard County to take on Palm Bay, a team that used to be a district rival to us. We haven't played the Pirates in quite some time. Last year, 7-4. They did not make the playoffs, but they are trending in the right direction, and so expect a tough team there.
Yeah, I thought they did. Maybe I misread that because they had like a 7-4, 11 games.
Maybe.
Yeah, and I took it as the idea that they bounced back and was 7-4 was a threat.
Right.
They're become a good team. You mentioned Brevard County. We have 4 games up there, like you said: Rockledge, Palm Bay, Heritage, and a Galley, all in Brevard County.
Yeah. Now,
we couldn't get, in the past, only one team would probably ever play us, and that was Palm Bay in the past. Yeah. We were out of their picture. They didn't want to have to come to Vero Beach.
Right.
As you see here, they didn't want to come to Vero. Lenny had to go. We're going to Brevard County to play our games.
Right.
So there's a reason for all that, is that one, a lot of teams don't want to play Vero Beach. They don't want to, even if you pay their way down,
right,
and give them the money to come and play you. The other is the fact that we got enough good comp teams in our own county. We could play.
Meaning Brevard County.
Brevard County.
Yeah.
So I take it Lenny did a great job of talking to you, and he had to go there. Yeah. And I hope it's a home and away. I mean,
that's what I hope too. I hope, for next year, we're looking at a lot of these teams coming back to us. But, again, part of the challenge now, with the playoff format changing again, in some regards. Now, what has kind of stayed the same is strength of schedule definitely factors into the playoff picture no matter what. So, yeah, I think you're going to have to play tougher teams. And because you're playing tougher teams, there's not, I don't think, the same attraction for these teams to always want to come to Vero Beach. So I think we're going to see this trend a little bit where Vero's going to be on the road more than they've been probably in the last several seasons.
Well, to me, the big game is Treasure Coast because it's a district game, and
Yep.
if you win your district, you have a good shot of having a home game, depending on your.
Right.
But to me, Treasure Coast has become the team to beat
Yeah.
in our
100%.
area. The last few years, I mean, we lost them twice last year, and we've done that another year before. But I think we've only beat them one time out of the last 3 or 4 years in the regular season, and so they are the team to beat in our district. So you take with them and the rest of the schedule we have, and this is a very challenging schedule.
It is. It is. So, I mean, from a strength of schedule standpoint, yeah, we should get, a lot of points. Now, you don't know for sure what all these teams are going to be totally like going into the season. Right now on paper, it looks really, really good. But as we've found out before, there's been teams on our schedule that we thought, oh man, they're going to be, this is going to be great for us for strength of schedule. And they end up not doing very well in the season. And it didn't turn out too well for us.
Well, injuries play a big part.
Sure.
In any football season.
Yep.
And if you lose your star running back, or if you lose your star quarterback, or if you lose a big defender on defense, somebody that's a catalyst of your defense, things change, and that's a big part of the football game.
Yeah, you're right. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. It gets started, Gary, with our exhibition game, our kickoff classic against Palm Beach Gardens. Now, the Gators a year ago, 6-5. They were 2-1 in their district. Coach Higgins coming in for season number 6. He's going to have these Gators ready to play, but he's got some holes to fill, and it starts at that quarterback position where he had a guy that was kind of like his be-all, do-all guy, and it'll be interesting to see, because right now you don't have a lot of scouting reports on these teams, so you don't know, like, does he have a stud that he's brought in through open enrollment, or has he got this freshman quarterback? Has he elevated his game enough to be the guy?
And that's the questions you don't know, and that's the questions between you going in. Like, they have a sophomore quarterback. How well did he look in the spring? Because that was the question that you would like to
Yeah.
And Coach Higgins has had some good years there at Palm Beach Gardens. But when you lose your starting quarterback, who was also your leading rusher, Stevens, it was our quarterback, threw almost for 1,500 yards and ran for 859 yards. That's a 7.3 yard average per carry.
Yeah.
That's a dangerous way of 16 touchdowns as a running back. He was 11 throws and 4 interceptions last year. So he was very talented. This is a team that only averaged 25 points a game, and it gave up 19 points a game.
Right.
So you can see how, and I told you that they lost 8 of their starting defensive players to graduation. You can see the reason they had 19 and points a game, which is not a bad job in high school to do that. But they lost 8 of their top defenders and tacklers off that team. They have a kid that we don't know much about coming back as a rushing. We're not sure if it's pronounced Koiku or something of that nature, but he's a junior. He rushed for nearly 400 yards last year, and that's all the stats I can really give you, because he was every senior was the stat leader.
Right. And again, because of open enrollment, if you've got guys that are on other programs around that are close, they're looking at those same numbers too, and they're like going, ooh, that might be an opportunity for me to go over there and showcase my skills. So there's a real potential that there's a number of guys that were not on this program a year ago that will be in there that can totally change the complexion of this team.
Well, I like the idea that we're opening up with Palm Beach Gardens, because we too have a 9th grade, we do. I mean, a kid that it was in the 8th grade last year is a 9th grader this year. It's not a 9th grader becoming a sophomore. You have Champ Mons, who's, and now, just let me put it this way to you. Don't be surprised how surprised you'll be.
Interesting way to say it. Yes.
Yeah, this young man is very talented, His family comes from an athletic family. His dad's been a football coach, and his dad's been a baseball coach, and his family. He's had cousins that have played. Some of them have played for us, and some have played at other schools. And but he's 6'2", 6'3", about 210 pounds or so. Very athletic, very knowledgeable of the game. The short time I've been around him, I spent 3 or 4 practices with watching him and throw and all, and he's got the knowledge of the game. His IQ is really, for a 9th grader, is unbelievable. It's how fast he adjusts and how fast he gets tuned into the coverages of high school football. When you're a freshman and you got seniors across the line from you, a lot of times, and they start stunting and blitzing, and it's you know, picking up that read is what will define his how quick he can become adjusted to the game in high school football.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it, man. And so people are going, well, if you got this guy at quarterback, what's happening to E.J. White? Well, E.J.'s probably going to slide out to the receiver position. Most likely will play a little bit on the defensive side in that corner spot as well. And then you've got, guys like R.J. Jones that, he had a little bit of an injury-plagued season last year. We got to see him a good part of the second half of the season. We saw a lot of his talent. So I'm really excited to see him get a full season under his belt now. He's already committed to Illinois. He is a stud of an athlete. Of course, you got TJ Alford coming back on that defense along with Avion Rivers in those linebacker spots. Alford's already committed to Ohio State. You got Antoine Montgomery on that defensive line that'll anchor that defensive line. We've got some other guys that are going to come fill some shoes because, Matthew Bacon graduates. So there's some holes that have to be filled on that defensive side. Offensively speaking, Gary, you've got Champ Smith that'll be anchoring along with Ben Hall on that offensive line with Vargas and those guys. And then you've got,
And Champ's only a junior.
He hasn't committed to a school yet. A lot of signs are saying potentially Ohio State, but we'll wait and see when he actually makes his full-on announcement. But he's definitely getting a lot of offers. I watched him the other day. Man, they had him running as a lead blocker, and oh my goodness, I would not want to be that linebacker for anything.
6'6".
He's slimmed down a little bit, and he is moving faster.
Yeah, he's about 310 or 15 pounds, I think now. He was weighing about 330 or something like that, but he's 6'6".
Man, he is light on his feet, and it is impressive to watch. And I'm just telling you, I would not want to be a linebacker trying to fill a hole, and that big man coming through there is going to light you up. I'm telling you. Gary, I think one of the question marks is going to be at our running back position because Jonathan Hillsman is still on the mend from a knee injury last season. So there's going to be, you got Lance Fort, you got Young, that are going to be filling those holes back there at the running back spot. So it'll be interesting to see how they adjust.
Let me say this. Lansford, to me, finished strong last year. He looked good at the end of the season.
Yep.
He had some good plays. Gerard Young is a sophomore.
Mm-hmm.
He is very, very talented.
Mm-hmm.
He is. We got a chance to. He got a chance to play with a few as a freshman last year. A few games with us, and we'd only get him for a half, and you have a 6-quarter rule, but he was one of those kids that in a half, he made a difference. He was so above all that level.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see how he looks at running back there at that position. I think he's going to be really a good one.
Yeah, I agree. And, all signs point to Vero having a strong team. But you just don't know until you watch them play against
I'm going to throw another one at you.
Throw one.
Okay, throw one at you. Xavier Stinson.
That's right. It's a new transfer.
In. Kid is 6'3", lanky, can run, and he can catch the ball. He's starting, and of course, E.J. White at X. You got White on one side, and you got Stinson on the other side. You got two tall receivers that can go up and get the ball. Then you got in the middle, you've got Lorenzo Williams, and Jarvis Jacobs. They're quick. They're fast. They're not but you got two big tall guys to the outside.
Mm-hmm.
So Mounds is going to have a lot of Mons brothers going to have. I'm going to say that.
Told you.
I know
Told
it.
you, folks.
I would do it.
There it is.
I promised myself. I said I'm not going to call it. It's Mons. Mons will have a lot of good targets to throw to. The question mark will be his offensive line. How well do they protect for the freshman?
Yeah.
And then you've got series of packages where E.J. White will come in and run some series also, especially maybe in the red zone at times. So, you know, Mons is not going to be left out there to hang by himself. E.J. White's very capable to play quarterback.
Yeah.
And this is a very good team. I like it. I like the...
And don't forget, at some point, R.J. Jones will probably be lining up at receiver as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. He's one of those guys that will fill in or get a chance to come in.
There's a kid that played for you last year that I remember you talking highly about him, Marcus Melbourne. Marcus
Melbourne is a young man that's got tremendous football love. Love of the game. I call it, you don't get to see a kid that gets out there and wants to, he loves the game. And his athleticism is really good. He's going to be a backup at Z, the wide receiver, but he also going to be a backup at Spur. He can play both ways. Okay. Yes, he's one of those kids that will get to play both ways.
Nice.
And he's just a sophomore, and he's got this just bubbling attitude. I loved coaching him last year. He was fun, tremendously fun to watch him play and to participate.
Well, there you go, folks. That's going to round it out as we get set for our first game on this Friday night against Palm Beach Gardens at the Citrus Bowl. Kickoff time is at 7 o'clock. It's going to be a lot of fun. First chance to really see this version of the Fighting Indians football squad. So looking forward to seeing you there. Thanks for joining us inside the press box. As always, go Indians.
Thanks for joining us inside the press box. For more, go to ChristianFM.com.